Good afternoon, MLS Listings, and welcome to MLS Listings Live, show number 12. And today, special guest, special topic, NorCal Alliance, and that brand new data share that's coming in. Before we dive into the guests, though, let's take a look at a video.
The NorCal MLS Alliance is an unprecedented collaboration of 7 Northern California multiple listing services with one goal: to deliver the greatest access to MLS data for real estate professionals in and near the areas they do business. The NorCal MLS Alliance will bring expanded MLS data to over 55,000 real estate professionals who serve more than 11.5 million people across 22 counties or more than 20,000 square miles. Leveraging the latest technology, the NorCal MLS Alliance will deliver seamless access from your home MLS login to real estate data stretching from parts of the Central Coast and Bay Area to the Northern California Central Valley and the crest of the Sierra Mountains. Improved listing data standardization and increased cooperation and offer of compensation, as joining one MLS will open up data from 7 MLSs. Importantly, each MLS participating in the NorCal MLS Alliance retains its own control and governance, ensuring local MLS and business rules are maintained and local experts with knowledge of unique marketplace conditions and practices will stay in place. The NorCal MLS Alliance is excited to announce the new Northern California MLS data integration will launch in mid-January 2021. Get ready for a whole new level of local data from your MLS provider. For more information about the NorCal MLS Alliance, visit norcalmlsalliance.com.
All righty, we've got it. We're going to, Miranda, if you go ahead and, I know we are powerfully strong at MLS Listings, but we don't need to show the graphic to go along with it. So while my control panel is getting taken care of, I do want to say thanks for being with us today. Thanks for watching the video. I think that sets a good baseline for everything. Miranda, if you could go ahead and bring in Dave Wetzel. And for those of you that don't know, Dave Wetzel is our CEO, president and CEO. He's been at it, I think, a year now. There he is. He's coming in now. I'll wait for him to pop up on the screen for us. There he is. So, Dave.
Hey, Mark.
How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Can you hear me okay? I had to switch to the computer headphones, so I'm hoping that is working okay.
You're doing good. You're doing good. So, I dug into your background a little bit for the show, and I recognized, I knew about your time at IBM and your time at Siemens, and certainly your time at Cisco Systems. But then I read deeper into the Cisco systems, and you were at one time responsible for implementing a cloud-based environment so that Cisco could deliver their systems on a global basis. And that got me wondering, was it easier to get information to Guam, or is it easier to get information from Sunnyvale to Sacramento? Because it's what we're accomplishing here next week has been in the makings for a while now.
Interesting question, Mark. So yes, different challenges to go solve there.
Okay.
And certainly that was a big feat in my past running services at Cisco, internationally. But this is different. What we were doing here has a technical challenge, obviously, because we've got data that we have coming from a number of different MLS systems. And, often when you think of a listing, you think of some photos, number of beds, baths, price, area, schools. It all sounds pretty straightforward, right?
Right.
You should be able to, it's a price. You should represent that the same. It's a status. You should represent. No, everybody's got a little slightly different, view of that when you get into the internals of it and get that information across. And so there's a lot of work to do there on the technical side. Okay. But there's also a lot of work to do on the politics side to get this started in the first place. When we started with the RECIP agreement across Northern California, 10 or 12 years ago?
Yeah, it certainly right when I came in and we were working on it already.
Yeah, certainly has been here longer than I have. And that was all based on the fact that, we just couldn't get everybody to agree to a data share at the time. And what's behind that is that as a CEO of MLS Listings, I need to protect the data and make sure that our data from our subscribers is used in a proper and right fashion. And so you just be careful about where and how you send it out. It's just not globally available to just anybody, right?
Yeah,
It's
you
got
just
to
don't
be,
open up the gate and let anybody use, everything wherever they want to.
and we may take a more liberal view of how to make that data available to others, and others will take a little bit more strict view of making sure that that data is held on to before it's out there. So
And
it
that
took a
was sort
while.
of the focus of the alliance, right? You guys actually had to build an organization so that people, the COOs and CEOs like yourself could come to the table and get that stuff worked out.
And break down those barriers and build the trust, across the MLSs, the 7 MLSs of NorCal. That trust got built up, and then the progress started happening a lot quicker after that point, and we got to a point where we said, let's make this thing happen. I was
Okay.
just, it's very timely. I was on a call just before this with the 7 CEOs, which I'm
Right.
part of, and just going over the last contract changes, which are all fairly minor, but they're still changes. And we got to a point where we said, throw it in DocuSign, let's sign this thing, let's make it happen. And well, in parallel, we've been doing the technology work all along now for a while. And that's all coming to a point where we're ready to go live soon as well.
So were you able to find a common goal with all these, critical players and key players? Was there a common goal for the alliance to get it kicked off? And you're feeling comfortable how it's worked so far, it sounds like.
Well, the common goal is in sharing that data. So a subscriber, I've got this NorCal map here
Right.
behind me. So, if you're an agent in any one of these counties in blue, your license allows you to do real estate in the state. So, we should be all working together to make sure that data is available to
make sure that
for the
happens.
last 10 or 12 years, we've had that, but you had to go into one of the other systems to do that, right? So you'd click on the button in our dashboard and it would take you into Rapatoni, or take you into, the East Bay's Paragon system. And that may not have been the system that you use every day. So it was a little bit of a foreign thing to do.
Right.
And so this in the data share mode is just going to make things so much easier, people so much more efficient. You go in and you create a listing just like you've always done, and it's shared with all the agents in those blue areas that you see here in Northern California.
Got it.
Now, of course, it's also going to the ones, and we're getting listings from the ones that we had before this too. So don't forget, we had a data share with Sierra MLS from Southern California,
Right.
the MLS from West LA, Beverly Hills area, and then little known fact, we added another one in 2020 called ChrisNet MLS, which is in Van Nuys, Southern California area. And so now we've got listings from all of those Southern California ones, and now we'll be having listings from all of these in Northern California as well.
And we've always had a data share with Alameda, Contra Costa County, but it was a little bit, you guys had to mold it. You had to polish that agreement a little bit, it sounds like, when you came to the alliance.
We did, and then we also took a look at the actual technology that we were using, and we got more feedback from people. We went out and talked to a bunch of our subscribers and said, we've had the data share with Bay East, Contra Costa, Bridge, MLSs, the 3 in the East Bay for a while. How do you like it? How have you used it? What's working? What's not working? And we got a lot of feedback there. And we said, well, when we do this with all of NorCal, let's go ahead and let's make some improvements on what we've done in the past. So we've got some improvements to this. They're going to be rolling out. And I see we've got the date here on this slide. So it's rolling out next week. A week from
it's coming.
It's coming. It's on the 20th.
Yeah, and I think that's a Wednesday. Now, we're going to cover a lot of other materials here. So I want to let our viewers know, hey, if you've got a question for Dave, or we're going to have Robert Bustamante on in a little bit to talk about rules. But if you got any questions, use that Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and type in a question, and then we'll come at the end. We'll come back to all those questions to help you out there. Now, Dave, what's the Alliance going to deliver? And I'm looking sort of at the, all the data, or does my flavor of data, does it remain? Do I still have, control over it? So what are you going to deliver to us?
Well, it's meant to share all of our active and our historical listings. And so, okay, all of that is going to come across and will be shared. So you can see that, our users typically will go into Matrix and look at things in Matrix. And so now where they may have had to go over and look at it in a Rapatoni system,
right?
Now they'll just be able to see that in Matrix. And so it'll be a lot easier because Mark, as you know, you do a lot of training on Matrix. And so all of the stuff that you train on is really focused on our tools. Right. So this is going to really take all that data and put it into our tools, the tools that they use day in and day out. So they're efficient at seeing that information.
Got it. And now we've got some of our subscribers have been using that Paragon system from Black Knight for a while as well. And because they find some tools and some services over on that side that they really, really like. Is the data going to be in the Paragon search tool?
It will be. It might. I don't think it's going to be there right on the 20th. We're working with Black Knight to get that in. There's a few things that they need to do to do that. So if it's not on the 20th, it'll be very shortly after. Okay. And the intent is not just Matrix and Paragon, but remember, we also have people that do searches in Cloud MLX. We also have people that do searches in Remine. Right. So the idea is that this should be available in all the tools that we have as member benefits here from MLS Listings. Those secondary tools, it's going to take us just a little bit to push that in. We started with Matrix, and the analogy I use often is that the database of all these listings is like a giant swimming pool. Okay. And we just increased the size of the swimming pool. And we've, if we just, dump thousands of gallons of water into the swimming pool at once, it's going to splash out. There's going to be some problems. Right. And so in order to make sure that those systems perform well while we're doing it, it's more like adding water into the giant swimming pool with a couple of garden hoses. Okay. And that way we can make sure that those systems are up and running and performance is fine. Right. We
control it. Right.
We've been filling the Matrix swimming pool now for a while, and the data is in Matrix. We don't have it visible. It goes visible on the 20th. Right. And we're actually in the process of getting that garden hose filling up into those other ones. It's just not quite there yet. And so that takes some time before it gets into Paragon and Remine and Cloud MLX, but it'll eventually be there as well.
Right. So, as one of the trainers and, one of the directors, those guys in PM, those incredible folks in our product management team, they've given me special access. And this is a realist report, right? It's only for the internal users right now, but look at those listings over there under MLS number. That's what you're talking about right there, correct?
I'm not sure I'm seeing the same thing as what your circle is going on.
Yeah, that's correct.
But yes, if you're showing the Matrix part, yes, then so the staff have a view into the into listings that are coming in from San Francisco, from Barry's, and from MetroList, and yes, those ones, I see some on the screen there that say ME. I think those are the MetroList ones.
Yeah, that's the MetroList stuff. Now,
and you see some at the bottom that say SF. Those would be coming in from San Francisco.
But look at those locations, right? These are listings. This is the magic of this new data share is I've got a MetroList agent who's listing a home in Saratoga. And now our agents, our subscribers, get to see all the listings in Saratoga, not just the ones that came in from an MLS Listings member.
That's correct. So if before you were looking at Matrix, you wouldn't have seen that one from that we're looking at there from Saratoga from the MetroList agent, but
Right.
but now you will. So you get a much more complete view, or you may be representing somebody that's looking at something in Sacramento, and you now have access to all those as well. So anything
in
that's
the other direction.
Yeah. So anything that those MetroList agents have, and vice versa, all of your listings, whether they're in Sacramento or whether you have them in Saratoga, as that you are looking at here, now can be seen by that agent in MetroList, who's now maybe representing a potential buyer that wants to talk to you about that listing.
Got it.
So it's all about sharing that data, the active and historical data there.
Okay. So Dave, let's take a look at that map that is right behind you there. And I'm going to pull up my other screen here so I can see you. It's 22 counties, right?
Yes, but please don't make me name them because I don't have. I can rattle off ours, but I don't have all of those other ones memorized. But you see them there on the map. It's pretty extensive. It's all the major areas in Northern California.
Yeah, we've got all the way around the Bay Area, plus the Central Valley, Sacramento, basically all the way down to Merced, and then going up that I-80 corridor, heading for the lake, right? Heading for Lake Tahoe, but Lake Tahoe's not in there. That's a different MLS.
That's a different one. Yeah. So we don't have that. But yeah,
day,
it covers quite a bit.
Yeah. This is, and I think with the, the migration that we've seen of people out of the Bay Area, but they're heading for Roseville, they're heading for Auburn, they're heading for, Placerville. A local agent can assist those buyers that are, looking in Northern California. That's what
they can. And depending on that agent, it's whether they are actually going in and assisting them in doing that, or whether it's just going in and trying to find what's available, having a intelligent conversation with the client about what's available there, and maybe handing it off to somebody locally, whatever makes sense for that agent. The data is there, so the business model that they want to use, it's available there to support them in however they want to use it.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned, and it was on the slide, this is January 20th. This is next Wednesday morning, right? We're all going to come in Wednesday morning. We're going to log into pro.mlslistings.com. We're going to click over to Matrix, and there it's going to be, right? Seamless, though, right?
Seamless,
we don't have to shut down our network or anything.
There's no outage.
Seamless.
Yeah, no outage involved. So as I said, we've already filled up the swimming pool behind the scenes with Matrix. Right. And so the technology change that we need to do is to simply go in and change some filters in Matrix to allow subscribers to view those. Right now, only staff can see those, and we've been testing those, providing feedback back to the other MLSs and changing a few things here and there. And now, on the night of the 19th, sometime in the middle of the night, our team will go in and make those changes to the filters, and then boom, 60,000 listings, 60,000 active listings are in Matrix and then available at that point to be seen.
Right. Get on the diving board and dive in that pool, right?
Yes.
Make a big splash, as they say.
Yeah. So one thing to remember is that for us, this is a new data share. We're bringing this data in, and we're making these changes to make this happen. And it's seamless the way that we're doing it. So, but that's not the case for some of the others. So you may have heard that, maybe you've tied into the messaging from San Francisco or Barry's or MetroList. They're actually combining this with a number of other changes that they're doing in their system. So they need to bring their system down for some short amount of time and then back up again. And that's because of the combination of things that they're doing. From our perspective, just the data share is happening here. And so we do not have to go through any of that outage to make this happen.
Right. And I think, Dave, that's a lot of that has to do sometimes, many times, we've got our own engineers. We've got our own developers. We're touching the data all the time, and we're used to it. We're familiar with these data share. The movement of data and the challenges that movement can have. We're experienced there.
Yes, we are. I'm getting a little bit breaking up here, so you can hear me okay. But yeah, So, well, yeah. So what we've done is we've really kind of gone in through the project plan on this and took out as many of the risk items as we could and tried to make this focus on just the data share portions, and that's really what our focus is, and that's kind of the approach that we've taken there.
Got it. Now, there's going to be some things that our agents need to do. They play a role in this as well. And this is where Robert Bustamante can probably help us out as well, because I know you're having a little audio problems. Miranda, can you go, let's bring Robert on just a little early. Hope we don't catch him doing his hair or anything like that, but let's bring Robert on just in case. And I'm going to do a slide switch here. And where is, let's see. There he is. Robert, you're there with us now?
I am.
Okay.
I just flew in. My helicopter just landed.
Oh, got it. I knew you were delayed for a good reason. And Dave, how's your audio now?
Still pretty bad. I've got several family members on Zoom calls today, which is not a good thing here.
No worries. Robert, before your grandchildren take over your internet feed, let's go ahead and step into this if you could. So, Robert, listing agents, agents that have a listing, let's say in the MetroList MLS, they've got some things they've got to get done, correct?
Yeah, right. So we're going to be turning off the SSO bridge or the link bridge that users go over to list and search on those other MLSs, because the data share, there's no reason to do that any longer. But prior to that, so that you don't lose access to the listings that you might have over there,
right,
with messaging and sending notices and how-tos to users that have listings in each other's system, and saying, hey, withdraw the listing, and then go over to your native MLS, your home MLS, and add that property on that system, so that when we go to the data share, they'll swap themselves. So you won't lose access to that listing.
Got it. And this is just a one-time, get it, like you say, get us over the bridge and get everybody back into their home MLS again.
Yeah, and so they're doing it right now. We're getting calls. I spoke to somebody who was transitioning their listing, and and it's very easy for our people, because you're listing in your home system, and same thing for they're listing in their home system, and that's really one of the beauty, one of the nice elements of the data share, is that everybody's using their native system, and they're still able to reach, the 55,000 other agents, without having to learn a new software.
From the comfort of their own keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's take a look at the buyer's agent side there, because the buyer's agents also play a little role in this.
Yeah, if you've used either of the systems and you've set up context or saved searches, you can either just leave them, right, and move on, or get those and put them into your native system as well and recreate them. So you can export the contacts from the other systems into our system, their Excel file sharing and upload, or you can, and you're going to recreate the save searches on our system, depending on what your criteria is. And we have steps on how to, and we're notifying people. For example, if you don't have listings over in the other systems, then these two slides.
Yeah, you got nothing to worry about.
They have nothing to worry about. Yeah, you're going to be going straight from the jump. These are just transitionary steps that agents will do, and they're being messaged right now, and so they're going to know what to do. And then we have our support center. We have our pros support community. We're outlining all the details for you.
Okay. And just a quick reminder out to all the attendees, and we do have a lot today. Wow, you guys have filled up this virtual room very nicely. You've got questions, something's come up, you need a little more in depth, down there in that Q&A button at the bottom of the screen is where you're going to enter that. And Miranda is sending those to me as we're having this conversation, Robert. And we got some questions to answer. So let's continue to move along, because we want to move over into the rules, sort of the rules area right now. Hey, Dave, it looks like you changed your background there.
Wow. I'm not sure how that happened.
I know, but the
audio
did that on
its own.
And the paint job is wonderful. A nice choice of color. So, Robert and Dave, you brought this up earlier as we were sort of practicing for the show, but how does clear cooperation, factor into the broader data share environment right now? Is it forcing things, or is it helping us along? Is it guiding us a little easier, or is it ensuring equality of data?
With respect to the data share and clear
Yeah.
cooperation, I think it kind of helps in terms of being able to make things easier for Robert and the compliance team
Okay.
to say, if you have a listing, put it in the system. Just all the rules should apply for all of those blue counties that would have been behind me if Zoom kept my map.
Right.
Right, Robert? Doesn't it make things a little bit more clear for for the subscribers and for the compliance teams involved?
Yeah, it does. One of the things when Mark and Dave were talking about how we got here, I don't know if Dave's going to toot his own horn, but Dave leads the CEO group in the data share. He's the one, he sets up the meeting. He's the kahuna for that. And then that gives us the ability to participate in the other systems. So we have the whole, we have a rules group that meets to try to normalize the rules across the MLSs,
Right.
so that our users can get in and get out of the other MLSs without, run afoul of the other MLS's rules. And then we have Jeff McBride set up our customer service meetings so that they don't hit any obstacles or walls with respect to technology listing, and they always get the support they need. So it's this whole chimney effect of support that they're doing in the back. Our leadership is doing for us, and then we just come along. And with respect to listings and making it easier, one of the things that we have is, we have the MetroList Santa Clara listings, right, are now going to be in our system right under your search, right?
Right.
The Bay East Sunnyvale listings. And similarly, our agents that are taking Hayward or, San Francisco or Sonoma listings, they're going to put it in our system, and it'll go right up to all those native things. So it's very easy, and we've normalized the rules, and again, we really use a lot of common sense. Add a photo, put the remarks in, make it very cooperative. One of the things is we still have our offer of cooperative compensation.
Good.
You'll see it, you get it, you have the right to arbitrate, and all of the other MLSs agree. So it's one big giant handshake. I'm not going to say it's one big giant group hug, right? But it is,
we're getting there, Robert. We're getting there to a group hug. So
we'll get the group hug kind of thing.
Yeah, we're getting there. So so what Robert's referring to is that I chair this meeting with all the CEOs, and then we've got all these different sub-teams, so Robert's on the rules area, and they try to get all the rules common across all the 7 of us. And then we've got a marketing communications subgroup. We've got the technology subgroups. We've got our engineers involved with some of the others from other MLSs. And so there's all these different sub-teams that we've formed. And so, it takes a village to make this happen.
Right.
And we've got all different players from MLS Listings that are part of that village, all the respective functional groups, and just making sure that we've got everything aligned and making sure that we've got all the touch points with the other 6 MLSs, so that if there is an issue, Robert can just pick up the phone and call the right person at the other MLS and talk to them, because we built all those relationships. So we have those regular meetings with them, and it just rolls out smoothly that way.
So Robert, are you going to have like a red phone on your desk? It's like the hotline to all the other phones.
It's a bat phone. It's actually a bat phone.
Yeah.
We got the signals we put in the air. And one of the things that we've done, and I'd be remiss not to mention, is we have expanded our service area.
Right.
And so it just makes the benefit be realized that if our agents take a Sonoma listing, they're required now to put it on our system.
Okay.
Similarly, if the Sonoma agents take a Sunnyvale listing, they're required to put it on their system. So that expansion of the footprint and that requirement under our normal mandatory submission rules really makes the promise of the exchange of listing information come to fruition. So it's just common sense, right? It's just that's the right thing to do.
Okay. And did you didn't call it normalizing the rules. You called it, where all the rules have become the same, or that's what we're pushing for. because
I think
that's
I did.
so important.
I did call it normalizing.
Normalizing,
and
right,
yeah.
because imagine, and you've used this analogy before, if the driving rules changed as you went from county to county, and you actually, didn't have to stop at that red light in, Contra Costa. You never know what the rules are, but with your system and because of the cooperation amongst the MLSs, a subscriber can be comfortable in, if they know the rules at home, that rule is going to apply in all other 21 counties, correct?
Yeah, in a normal, conventional way.
Got it.
There might be some subtleties and nuances that are still, like in one of your slides said, that remain localized to the system.
Okay.
For example, we have multi-class listings. We have certain statuses and all of these things that are very much MLS listings. So what our Dave's engineering team has done is they're mapping the data as it comes over.
Okay.
So they'll take something that's a little different from, let's say, MetroList. Maybe they have a different status or property class.
Right.
Bring it over into our side and they fit it into our view. And so now our people just don't even see that work. They just search active, contingent, pending, sold, but they're actually getting all of the MetroList or San Francisco listing data into our system.
Got it.
Yeah.
Robert, what about lockboxes?
Yeah, so lockboxes,
what are we doing there?
Yeah, so right now lockboxes for showing, well, so showings are pretty limited right now. But
when it comes back,
when it comes back, and we're optimistic for 2021. The lockboxes are handled by our authorized providers. Our authorized providers are the AORs.
Okay.
And like I tell people, anybody that's already doing business over in Sacramento already knows how to reprogram their lockbox or have their key co-opted and so forth. If you're thinking of entering into those markets or expanding your service area or your footprint or your farm, you would contact your authorized provider, the AOR that's submitted to your lockbox, and they'll tell you exactly how to do it for those other markets.
Wonderful.
I mean, ultimately, Mark, if you take a listing in a particular area, you'd want all of the agents in that area to be able to access the lockbox and get in, right?
Oh, yeah.
So as a common
which
sense
is really
thing.
not a change, right, Robert? That's kind of how we've been operating up to now. So it's
that's what they're doing today. But this might be new and people will be curious and they'll have questions. So you would say if you never reprogram your lockbox, you wouldn't come to Mark or me. You would go to your authorized provider, their AOR that issued that box. They'll tell you how to do it.
Got it. There's a lot of information to do this, but it's taken 11, 12, 13 years to make this happen. So, everyone's going to learn as we go along here. But Robert, one of the places we were able to learn, and you've been playing there a lot, and I got to show it off, of course, is our pro support site. And so let me pop that up here. At the top of every single page that we've got at MLSlistings.com is the pro support button way up there in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to click on it. And Robert, you've actually put up, with the help of Jeff McBride, who runs the call center and keeps this site up to date, we've got a NorCal MLS Alliance support page. Right? And it's got the maps and it's got the how-tos and it's got the instructions on what to do. So this is a key place to go to get additional information as we progress here. Correct?
So we're happy that we brought our support, online support, into the new millennium. We revamped it and now we're going to be evolving this as well. So we have video, articles, how to, keyword search, and the benefit is that it's 24/7, and you don't have to wait if Mark's available or not, or can I get a hold of Dave. If you have a question, you just look in here and see if we solve it for you. If we don't, we have a way for you to contact us and say, I have this question. So, it's just the interactions, a channel that we want to give people so that they always have information and access whenever they want it, and they don't have to wait for us.
Okay. We'll go back. Dave, let's talk about, before we move off into the questions, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, because we just didn't stick the stake in the sand and walk away. We still got some work to do.
We've got some work to do. And, the other thing is just, our DNA of how we roll out just about anything is we take a look at getting a lot of feedback as to what people want, what they like, what do they need. We implement that and we continue the discussion. We find out more about, now that you've got it, in your hands. Is that what you were thinking? Is there something new that we hadn't thought of or discussed in the past? And so you've seen this before. I mean, members only was the last, coming soon to members
example.
only. We took a lot of feedback. We evolved it. We're continuing to evolve it. We'll be doing the same here as well.
Okay.
So one of the things we did initially was we said, well, we've already got the data share in place with Bay East Contra Costa Bridge. How do people like it? What are we doing? What are we doing well? What can we do better? So we're making a few changes. And so, for example, we didn't really have history there before. So now we're working to get that history in. We'll have history right away from the Rapatoni MLSs, from San Francisco, Barriers, and MetroList. We're still working through a few of the technical issues with getting the history from the Paragon system in the East Bay. We'll have you'll see some of those right away, but there's a few little scenarios where the history doesn't come across cleanly, and we're continuing to work with their Black Knight vendor to make sure that happens.
Got it.
Another thing that we've done is we've included all of their areas, and so they used to be out of area. If you want to put something in another person's county, it would be out of area. But now what we've done is we've brought in all of the MLS areas or districts if you're in San Francisco, right? And so we've brought all those into the system. So now you can put it in a way so that people that are local to one of those other counties who search in a particular fashion can find it. And then the other thing that we're looking at doing is not quite there yet because because broker tours aren't turned on these days, but we're also looking at how do I make it so that you can put it on tour in one of those other areas. Now, of course, you'd have to follow the rules that the local people have for those tours, right? So, but we should be able to say, I want to put it on tour, and what's the Tuesday tour in that area?
Got it.
And make that happen. So there are two areas that we believe that we still need to do work on, or a couple areas. One is the history from the East Bay, to getting that nailed down and complete. Tours, we did some of the work, but we can't test it because there are no tours right now, right? Right. So we do, even though we've done the engineering work, we don't believe it's complete yet, and we'll have to do some more work there as tours come on, and we'll have to spring into motion right away to fix some of those things as they happen. Open houses is similar. So we believe open houses is a little bit more straightforward, and we believe we got all the open house data that would come over from San Francisco, Barriers, and MetroList, but those fields are all empty right now, all right, because there are no open houses. And so once we turn on open houses again later in the year, there may be a few things that we need to spring into motion right away and make a few fixes or changes. But that's just simply because tours and open houses, those fields are all blank right now if you were to look at them. So there are some things that we'll continue to do. Because
we have the engineers who know the data, who've worked in the data, who know the data, who understand the data share world. The challenge that will happen is as the world comes back to normal again, well, Santa Clara may not turn on, their open houses until later in the year, but San Benito County wants to turn it on in June. We're going to have
we'll have to see how that all plays out, right? So we're not sure if we'll all exit the COVID restrictions exactly the same from county to county, or if there's kind of a transition. The technology will support it in whichever way we want to do it. Now it just becomes down to the policies and what the local governments and the local associations would like to do.
Good. And that's that thinking it out early, designing it early to make it happen. Okay, so let's move on over to the questions because they're really coming in. I'm going to read them off the phone here. Miranda's been feeding them to me. Let's just go right back to the top. Robert, I'm going to send you the first one because the first question is, what's that screen format going to look like? Now, you and I had this situation earlier this week where one of our members called and said, hey, remember, I'd like you to come and talk about the MLS Alliance, right? Which was an old software tool. So just want to make sure, that tool's not coming back. The data is going to be there in the matrix system. We're not introducing a new search tool in this condition, right, Robert?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be integrated into your existing search, and you'll see it seamlessly, like you said. You'll search for properties within a certain geography or a map area or however you search, beds, bath, whatever the number is, and all of the available listings that meet the criteria, whether it's from our system or whether from the other cooperating agents outside of our system, will show up.
Okay.
So you do nothing but just consume and enjoy the service.
Yeah, dive into that pool,
Right.
as Dave would say. Hey, Dave, somebody's asking about, now that I've got the data that I've never seen before from Sacramento, I can include that in my auto emails, right? It's just going to flow like any other
Yep.
piece of data.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, somebody was asking about the Southern California are included. So the pool, we had already put the water from Southern California in the pool.
Yes, that's correct. So the Sierra MLS, the MLS, and ChrisNet MLS, those have been there for a while. They may not have the history. We've focused on the NorCal things for things like history or broker tours. But what you see there today is there in place for the Southern California ones.
Okay. And Robert, that we got a question, and I think it's just good to emphasize listing. We've got an agent who's got a listing, and he didn't say, or he or she didn't say which one, but they've got a listing in another MLS. If you could repeat, just to make sure all of our listing agents know what to do here.
Right. You look in your inbox. If you have a listing in the other MLSs, look in your inbox, and we've sent a direct piece to you telling these are steps we want you need to take. What you need to do is take your existing listing that's in the other MLS and withdraw it.
Okay.
Don't cancel it. Put it into withdrawn so that your seller doesn't get solicited from somebody that's mining those types of listings. Then take that listing information and add it to our system. So if you have a Hayward listing, for example, 123 Elm Street, Hayward, California, you would withdraw it over there on the Bay East system, bring it over here, list 123 Elm Street, Hayward, California on our system, add your photos, add your remark, get it ready, make it active. Good news is you'll get new DOM. And then you will be over there. We're going to handle the duplicate listings, right? So that you don't get two of the same listing from each MLS. It'll just be one and done. Yeah.
Had I known that little piece of information earlier, I would have put it on the banner. 0 days. Get 0 days. Come to this meeting. Get 0 days.
Well, we can't just. It's not something we could stop, right? But again, one of the things is it's a smaller subset of the overall active listings, right?
Correct.
So it's not a huge amount.
Okay.
Because agents were already listing on both systems.
On both systems.
These would be if it's only on one of the services.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think I looked at the numbers earlier today, Robert. I don't know if you saw them too. I think it's something on the order of 50 or 60 agents who have those listings that we sent those emails to. So out of the 15,500 agents, 50 plus in that neighborhood have a active listing that they need to go off and make some changes for.
Yeah. And Dave, not so much a question, but more of a comment. About 20 minutes before we went on the air, Larry Knapp, who's one of our vice presidents, sent over an update. So things are updating. I mean, things are updating, hour by hour as we move closer to the 20th of January.
Hour by hour. So like I've mentioned, the challenge we had with the history from one of the other systems, we made some great headway on that. And so some of that will be there in place by the 20th, but not all of it. But if you'd asked me that question yesterday, I would have said none of it would have been there from that system. Right. So the teams are working, around the clock on this, and the updates are just flowing into me as to the, here was a phase 2 item, but now half of it's going to be ready on the 20th, and the phase 2 part is now smaller. So there's a lot of activity on this.
Got it. Back to the questions, Dave. What about IDX feeds? No changes there, right? There's just there's a bigger set of data coming through.
There's a bigger set of data coming through, but the IDX feed doesn't automatically just get the extra data, because we do have some people that for any of the data feeds that say, well, I don't want the extra data because I'm already paying to get paying my vendor to get data from these other MLSs, and that would confuse things. So what we've done is we said, well, have your vendor reach out to us, and we can make sure that they get on the list to share that data through the data feed if they want it.
Okay.
And it's available. Then they can get the data from any one of the 7 and have access to the data.
Okay.
Now, the data feeds, there's a lot of vendors. We have, just at MLS Listings, we have between 200 and 300 different vendors that pull data. And so I need to go get permission from the other 6 to say, hey, this particular vendor is asking for the data, shared data. And then they look at it and they go, oh yeah, that's okay. And we get that and we send it to them. So it's going to take us a little while to work through the data feed portion of it, but that should happen. And that's kind of an ongoing thing. There's always a new vendor on the block that is offering some new services and wants data from us. And we're usually pretty quick to get them the permission for our data. And then they'll say, well, I'd like to have data from the other shared ones. And then we'll just have to go check the boxes with the other MLSs and make sure that happens.
Okay. Dave, it's come through in a couple different questions and it's referred to a couple different ways. The question is this: what about those, what we used to call coming soon, they're now called members only? The question is, are we sending them that way? And the other question is, are they coming, does the other guys
Great question.
come this way?
Great question, Mark. And there's no technology thing that says that can't happen. It's all around the MLS policies that are made by feedback from subscribers, and then our board listens to all that, and then they decide what to do. So at the current moment, the feedback that we had gotten around members only was keep it all within the members only, and
our members.
Yeah, within our members.
Okay.
And so that was the way the policy was created when we put that in place not that long ago. And now this data share has made us go back and say, well, should it be that way or should we share those? There's not a technology thing that says I can't. Right. It's all around what's the right thing to do. Okay. And the other MLSs look at it and they say, well, Dave, if you're not going to share your members only listings with us, then our policy will be that we can't give you the coming soon listings from them. And so there'll have to be like an equal exchange. It says that any MLS that wants our, that has coming soon that we'd like to have, then we have to be able to share our members only. And that's something that we should get some feedback on from people. What do they want us to do with those members only listings? Do they want to see the coming soon listings from the others? And then, talk through that with the board and figure out what the right policy is. As I said, there's no technology blocker there that says you can't do it. It's all around what's the right thing to do and get the right policy in place. And that's kind of how we've worked with the whole members only up to this point in time is get a lot of feedback, have the discussions, change the policies around it to make it work for the right business model that makes sense, and then go forward. So that's
let's talk about MLSListings.com, our public website, as compared to pro.MLSListings.com. Is the whole data set going to be loaded into the public website at MLSListings.com?
Eventually, not on the 20th. We still need to get permission. Think of us as a vendor at that point, right? So we're just like the other vendors at that point to say, hey, I'd like to get your data from the other 6 to use in my tool for my services to the MLS listings agents. And so we're off and trying to get permission from the other 6. We're just about there. I've got, permissions from most, but not all. And we've got a regular meeting where we're working through those items to get those permissions. But once we do, we'll send those. The intent is to put them into the consumer MLSlistings.com website as well. Oh, Mark, you're on mute.
I've got a safe search over in Rapatoni. That's not just going to come over on its own. I'm going to have to rebuild in Matrix, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So as I when I was having my audio problems before, I think I think Robert was talking about the required things to go off and do if you have listings. But if you're working with buyers, yeah, there's a couple of things that you might want to take note of if you're working with a buyer and you're in one of those other systems doing that. You may have saved searches, and you may have those auto emails and clients set up in Rapatoni system, for example. And if you do, well, after the 20th, you won't be able to go access that, right? So you don't, and nor will you need to, because we'll have all the data here. So if you have that saved search in one of those other systems, you'll want to go over there and figure out what that saved search is so that you can replicate it over here in our system. And same as if you have those, automated emails and clients set up and things like that, you may want to go back and bring that over into Matrix as well. Oh, Mark, you're back on mute again.
There we go. Our mobile tool partners, HomeSnap and MLS Touch, that's down the road, right?
It is, and it all goes back to the other MLSs and giving us the permission to send their data in there. And I believe they're all comfortable with HomeSnap, and so we'll probably get the data into HomeSnap right away. Some of the others have not heard of MLS Touch before, so when we say, can I have permission to put your data in MLS Touch, they go, MLS what? That's a mobile app? So now I need to sit down with those other CEOs and kind of talk them through it and get the permissions for those. And so we're in the process of doing that. Had a meeting this morning and we went through a good portion of those, but we're not done with that. That's kind of an ongoing discussion with the 7 CEOs.
And there, as you said, there's always a new vendor coming to the table that we're going to have to work with.
There will be one next month that we don't even know about yet today because they haven't approached us yet,
exactly.
Right? Some cool new service.
So, hey, Robert, over on the pro support page, they want to know about, is there a chat area and can I still reach somebody live if I need them?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So all of our services are augmenting our existing services. So we had chat before, we have chat now.
Got it.
And we have direct email and direct phone, and we aren't diminishing in our services, so they're all available.
Got it. You're going to have like holograms for us next. People are just going to appear on people's desk sites, kind of stuff.
We better get the engineers working on that, Mark.
Yeah. There's a specific question to point of sale ordinances. That's like you have to, you got to change the lateral sewer line from the house to the street. That data should be coming over, correct, Dave?
If that data is in the listing, then that data comes over.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not familiar with that data that you mentioned, but what we took was an interesting approach of no data left behind. That's kind of the mantra that our engineering team did. So when they looked at the listings that were available from the other systems, as that data comes across, they said, well, no data should be left behind. So let's figure out where we put the data. Most of the data has an obvious field values, but you'd be surprised at some of the way that those fields kind of transform as they move across, but no data left behind.
Okay. I really like this question because it's about AccuList. AccuList is a wholly owned subsidiary of MLS Listings. They are the statistical wizards of the MLS. And we've always had questions of, boy, I really love this report for Santa Clara County. Now I need it over in Alameda. Are we working closer, or are we?
We're getting closer on that. So again, it's the others, the other 6 MLS execs that I work with. And again, now AccuList is just one of the other vendors, right?
Right, exactly.
So now AccuList as a vendor needs to get permission to utilize their data. And again, some of them have already said, yeah, no problem. And some of them said, what are you doing with that? I never heard of that. So then we just have to sit down with them and make them feel comfortable that we're not, misusing the data. Obviously, AccuList is doing market trend kind of stuff. So we believe that it should be a slam dunk, but it's a conversation that has to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, but
if I'm questions on the auto email, people, it looks like they really want to, they're, appear to be excited about those listings are going to easily flow, seamlessly flow into those auto emails that they already have set up for, all new homes in Willow Glen. or only show me the homes in Los Altos Hills, not Los Altos kind of thing. So seamless.
Seamless. So now when you say seamless, it depends on the tool that they're using for
Right.
that auto email, right? So if they're in Matrix today, boom, on the 20th happens. The other ones, just like the other vendor conversations we're having, one vendor by another vendor by another, I need to go through those and work with the other 6 MLSs and get their permission to send their data into those different vendor tools. So it just depends on which tool they're using for the auto email.
Got it. And then, just one, it's more of a suggestion or a request that we get some kind of checklist in the Pro Support Center for what does, specifically, what does a listing agent have to do? What does a buyer agent have to do? So I'll work with Jeff McBride, who I know is lurking in the background here because he's my backup in case I go down, man down in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Jeff steps in, and then you guys find me later on after the show's over. So Jeff, people looking for assistance there.
Like my audio problems earlier.
Yeah, we have an article and those steps in there today. So
they're already there. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect, Robert. Thank you. So upper right-hand corner of any of our pages, you'll see it says Pro Support. Just click right there. Big banner, huge banner at the top. Click over and catch the one for the NorCal Alliance. Dave, any other, from your perspective, this has been a challenge, but it looks like the Alliance has done what they set out to do, but there's still a lot of work to get done.
There's still a lot of work to do to go through. As I said, we have between 200 and 300 vendors. And, there's some ones on that list that all MLSs look at and go, oh yeah, we know that. Yeah, approved. And then there are others that are maybe not, their adoption rate is not that high in Northern California. So then I need to sit down with the other MLSs and say, well, this is a vendor that somebody here at MLS Listings use, and we're already providing data for our member to use that service that they have, and here's how they use it. And here's a contract that we have that says that the data can only be used for X, Y, and Z, and make that other CEO feel comfortable, and then get that going. Between 200 and 300 vendors, it's just going to take us a little while to work through that. And as we mentioned before, there's going to be new vendors all the time. So it's going to be a ongoing process that we have.
Got it. And Robert, I just got a note from our director, Miranda, who tells me there were over 100 questions asked in the Q&A part today, and we got to get the show wrapped up here. But questions in the future, reiterations, redescriptions. Hey, I want you to come out and talk to my brokerage. We're available for that, right? Not only is the Pro Support side available for that, but we as the staff are also available for that, correct?
Yeah, we have a team of outreach people that are ready to show up anytime, anywhere, morning, noon, or night. Mark's team will show up.
Zoom into any meeting.
No, we're happy to come out and answer a Q&A. And I think what the ideal way to do it would be to launch the service, right?
Okay.
Go ahead, and if I were the agents, go ahead and move around in the new lake, right, or the new swimming pool. And what you'll find is very easy to navigate. You'll go, oh my gosh, I don't have any questions, right? Or you'll see something missing that you're normally used to. Right. Look up at the MLS number and see if it's your ML. Yeah, if it's an SF or ME or whatever, you'll see that that's one of the new listings, and that might be a gap that we need to close. You can send us an email, send it to Jeff's team or customer service, support at MLSlistings.com.
Right.
You have rules questions. You can contact compliance at MLSlistings.com. All of our contact stuff's the same. We're ready to help.
Okay. And your home phone number?
976.
So just a reminder, absolutely, it's late at night. It's 9:30. You're trying to get some information. Go to pro.mlslistings.com. Hit that button in the upper right-hand corner for Pro Support. But another way, Robert, you and I, we produce videos. This show is being recorded to be placed on our YouTube channel. And I think it's really important to, when you go there to watch a video, hit that subscribe button and that little bell that pops up. so that as we produce videos and move them out into the marketplace, you're going to get that notification to let you know there's something new to watch. So we've got a lot of different ways to move information down the stream to our users, our subscribers. So Dave, thank you very much for taking time out. Nice recovery from the audio problem. That was well done. And Robert, thanks for being with us from the greater suburbs of southern San Jose. It looks like there in the background. And certainly a note out, a big thank you out to the people that, behind these screens that make all this stuff happen. Miranda Perry, our director, and John Aquino, who does all of our graphics and keeps us, keeps the communication flowing to you. Peter Gannon, he's our production logistics professional. Boy, he keeps me informed about what's going on behind the scenes of the show. And then Dave Scalora handles our capture and editing for us. So thanks to all those people as well. Dave, any last words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom, as they say?
Pearls of wisdom. I think the thing to keep in mind is that we tried to keep this simple. Okay. By taking the data, putting it in the tools that people use day in and day out, no field left behind, meaning that we're trying to take everything and get it into a place that they're familiar with. We've got Robert working on rules with the others, so the rules are as similar as we can. Okay. We talked about no lockbox changes in the way that you deal with lockboxes. We tried to make it as simple as we could. Okay. So if there's an area where maybe we didn't hit that mark, let us know. If there's an area where we can improve, we always want to have that dialogue so we can continue to evolve the service.
Thanks. Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everyone being with us. We had a great turnout in the audience, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We're bringing back Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, who is our partner economist. And Dr. Eisenberg's going to talk about what happened in 21, and he's allowed to look forward into what happened in 2020. He's going to look forward a little bit into 2021 and take a look at what the market and the economy are doing. And
that should be interesting.
Huge show last time. So come back and join us in a couple of weeks for Dr. Eisenberg as well. So thank you very much, everybody. Glad you were with us. Bye now.